And what a day this is going to be. I am very honored to welcome Melissa Confalone. And most of you know who she is. And if you don't know who she is, I'm going to ask her to actually give us a little bit of background. But this is an honor to have you on the Stramaglio Show. So we thank you, Melissa.
Thank you, Mike. I was pretty thrilled when you asked, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. And before we get going, it was a lot of fun seeing you over at the CDA meeting in Chicago. I thought it was really nice to see you and Bill Fraser and Cooked and the whole crew.
Yeah,
So that was a lot of fun.
it was a lot
Enjoyed
of
it.
fun. I have a good shot of us at the bar there the one night, so it was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've been posting that one, so it's getting a lot of traction. But
that's good.
anyway, it's great to see you. And a couple of quick questions. So please tell myself and the audience, you've been with Fraser for a long time. How did that start? Give us the journey. Tell us who you are.
Okay. Well, I've been with Fraser for 30 years. So it's been a long journey. So I came up on the sales side of the business. So, my story is out of college, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I worked for a law firm in high school. I went down that track. I took my LSATs. I was accepted to law school. And a friend of mine from college called me one day and said, "Hey, let's meet halfway. We live 4 hours apart. And there's this company that's doing open interviews. It'll be great. You do public speaking." Like I took public speaking classes. It's just great experience. I'm like, okay. So I did. And he went in first and came out and he was like, oh my God, the guy was like super aggressive. It was horrible. I want to cry. And, I'm like, "Well, it's a linear dealer? What is that even for?" So I go in, and I meet this guy, and I came out like an hour later with a job selling linear fax machines. So I went to the payphone and called my parents. I'm like, "You're not gonna believe this. I got a job." And they're like, no, you're going to law school." So anyway, I just yeah, I just kinda jumped into the business, but I took the job. And I worked there for 3 years before I came to Fraser. And, when I came to Fraser, I was a sales rep. And then I sort of was one of two people that started our Philadelphia branch. So I drove down to Philly every day, which was an hour drive, and started to make our imprint in Philly. And then, yeah, it was just years of being with the company and then going through management. At one point, maybe 7 years into it, I actually left and did a 3 year stint over at Icon. Right, so we're in Philadelphia, as Icon's headquarters. Um, Probably one of the best things I ever did, and Bill Fraser would say the same thing. We were a small company back then, and I got this opportunity to be a district sales manager. And, I could sell, but they were gonna teach me how to manage and grow teams and run the business and that type of stuff. So I did that for 3 years, and then I got the opportunity to come back to Fraser and still on the sales side, vice president of sales for many years. You know Jim Pierce really well too, right? So Jim was a huge mentor of mine. I was fortunate enough as the company grew to be on the executive team. So it was me, Bill, and Jim. And although I was running sales and driving that part of the business, they really spent years teaching me all parts of the business. And it was very exciting. I became very passionate about it. So yeah, so as time progressed and things changed and Jim retired, and the path that Bill and I were discussing was about the next step of the company and perpetuating the company. So I've been in my role. It'll be about 3 years in January, and it's a wild ride. It's great. I love it.
So I have a bunch of questions out of that. So you mentioned Jim Pierce. Obviously, you have Bill Fraser and some wonderful people. Um, what I know Jim, so I'm going to be a little bit biased on this one. What was it that jumped out at you as his greatest gift to you as a mentor?
Wow. Okay, so I'll tell you just a tiny story that might piece it together. When I was working, so Jim was always our general service manager, right? And then the COO of the company. And when I was one of the only sales reps trying to penetrate the Philadelphia market for Fraser, I was in a small office in the back of a bank building with like two windows trying to sell stuff. And Jim was my lifeline. I don't know how else to describe it. I had no other support. I'd go out and make calls. I'd come back to the office and I'd be on the phone with Jim asking for all kinds of help. right? Help on structuring a deal, help on what kind of equipment I should put in, help on special pricing. And, I will tell you that if it were not for him during those years, he was so supportive helping us build that out and helping me personally. And I joke with Jim because if you know Jim, so Jim's got two daughters. And I think that's innately, he's very smart in the business, but his ability to like connect and help pull you to success, I think is his family overflow and how he is as like, a dad, and husband, you know what I mean, came into the business. So I that's huge. I'll also tell you, Mike, it's funny, we would sit in meetings, and he was so good about teaching me the financial aspects of the business. Like Bill would ask aggressive questions. You know, Bill's asking aggressive questions. And if I didn't really know what path to go down back in the day, Jim would nicely jump in and put the words in my mouth and not make me look like I didn't know what I was talking about. Do you know what I mean? So it helped me. He was a very hardworking but comfortable, and I felt safe around Jim. And the two of them taught me the business over the course of many years. Yeah.
Melissa, it's incredible. You don't hear anybody, you hear very few people who have stayed one place for 30 years. And to your credit, I mean, great success. You're now recognized as one of the greatest leaders in our industry, female executives, an influencer, and frankly, 30 years is a pretty impressive accomplishment. So when you think about that, the 30 years you put in there, did it go by fast? I mean, can you actually believe you are where you are and it's 30 years?
No, it's crazy. First of all, thank you for those kind words. I do appreciate it. But, when I think 30 years, honestly, I feel like it's maybe 10 years ago that I was knocking on doors in Philly, asking Jim for help. But when you start to piece through the years, and you like, and I know you document a lot of your life. I recently had a manager and a very good friend of mine retire. So I had to spend an afternoon going through my photos, right? So when you go through the photos of the 30 years, or you go through your life, and looking at the pictures, I thought, man, we worked really, really hard, but we had so much fun, like, you know what I mean? Like, it kinda put it in perspective. I spent 2 hours laughing, I was crying, looking at pictures, I'm like, "This is crazy, this is 30 years." Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, it's a lifetime journey, and you're just getting into the thick of it. I mean, honestly, you're just coming into your prime time.
Yeah, yeah, well, and that's my job now is to step up and keep this company running, so, yeah.
Obviously, Jim has taught you a lot. Bill has taught you a lot, and I would imagine the financial side is always a heavy switch. When you're marketing and sales driven. So when you look at where you are today and where Fraser is today, highly successful independent dealer, how do you feel? What are you doing to attract younger people into our industry, and in particular with Fraser? Is there any magic you have?
Well, I mean, so we're pretty rigorous about it. I will tell you, we were really early adopters of the talk track around the future and automation and AI. Now, I know AI is a big topic and we can kind of get into that, but we're really marketing ourselves as a different company, right? You're not going to attract the same level of people that you did before if they're young people, if they don't think that you have an exciting story or that their workplace is going to be something different than the good old fashioned workplace. Um, I'm not saying it's not easy. It's a difficult task. But that's how we're positioning it. Whether it's salespeople, service people, right? The same service model that we're using and used for years will not be the same. There's so many integrations now that we're integrating into the manufacturers with remote access and remote clearing of tickets and automatic firmware updates. I mean, it's a different game. You still need people out there turning the screwdriver in some capacity, but it will look different 2 to 5 years from now. So we have that talk track built into everything we do.
It's an interesting thing, and you mentioned it. AI is, a couple 3 years ago, people were talking about it, and it became a curiosity. It was a big launch, but now all of a sudden, I wonder if you agree with me. It's imperative to be incorporating, artificial intelligence into your business model. How are you doing that? Do you agree with me? And how do you do that?
100%. So first of all, about 2 years ago, we started what was called an AI lab. Early adopters of people, a team of people just exploring and understanding AI, going on different platforms and trying to figure out where it's gonna fit in our business, okay? Our first goal was to look at, as a company, before we weren't selling any AI products or workflows, right? The first goal was, how do you sort of get your people on board with understanding where it is, and how do you adopt it into your business? And it's funny, Mike, I'm sure you know, in the copier business, there's many dealers, even large dealers, who over the years had very convoluted manual processes. To go from that to like automation is like a major stretch. So we went through the lean process and we did a really great job, I think, of understanding how we consolidate and make things easier. And then we start developing in the Microsoft platform. And we have people on staff that have started to automate everything from like our sales work process, to some automated things around recruiting and analysis for behaviors. We have dashboards everywhere, all automatically generated. That's where we are. We're running down that Microsoft path. We're doing some heavy lifting on like Copilot, right? People have Copilot licenses, but how are you really leveraging them for sales and for internal communication and meeting notes and things like that? Um, and then honestly, we're differentiating ourselves from the competition because our sales track is really making sure our reps are using all those words, because that's how we're going to go get new business. We are a very aggressive, goal driven on new business company. So, um, yeah, it sets us apart.
So when AI, clearly, I mean, it's everywhere, right? I see it in new ERPs like Acumatica and some of these others. Or, West McDonald's out there teaching AI for service desks and so on. And when I say it's imperative, yet I find a lot of dealers still not being as aggressive as you. Is my perception right? Or
I think it is, Mike. I'm in a group where there's some good sized dealers, and it's really come to the surface where some of them feel like they're maybe like a bit behind, right? So we're working collectively to try to help everybody. At the end of the day, it's imperative to help run your business. It's also an imperative as we move forward to have a successful, profitable business, right? Because there's so many people are our biggest expense. 100%. That's just the way it is. I talk to my friends and they're like, I can't believe you have 60 outside salespeople. There's got to be a different way to do that. That's a big expense. Well, yeah, right now that works for us. And I'm not suggesting we're replacing our salespeople, but our mission is to grow the company, grow the revenue, and not have the same balance of people to revenue, right? We don't want to get rid of people. We just don't want it to be one for one anymore. And that's how we're going to keep scaling.
so that sounds like a obviously a very smart and new model that you're trying to implement as you go forward. Does that also include the IT services side of the business and with those 60 salespeople, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, so IT services side of the business, no, we only have so we have about 30, there's about 30 people in total on our IT side of the business. Okay. We have two outside salespeople, two inside salespeople. Okay. But automation on the operational side from AI, we are light years ahead on that part of the business. So we run them separately. All right. There's Fraser on the print side. WatchKeep is our M&S division, and we do run them separately. We're one big company, but they're separate entities, separate P&L, separate building, everything. Okay. Um, yeah, we have now dropping AI into their back end, is a little bit easier because you're not talking about 200 plus employees and thousands of customers and 50,000 endpoints, right? It's a little bit easier when you jump in. So they are on board with things like Roost and automating, like, ticket triage, automating like workflow deployments of laptops, and those things have been up and running for like a year. They're highly automated.
So are both sides of the house on a upward trajectory? So print and IT. So how what does that look like right now in 2025?
Yeah, so we're having a great year. We've had a couple good years, running. Now we always have very aggressive, growth goals, period. No matter what the economy, no matter what's happening, we wanna grow. And I know you were at the CDA meeting, and, when, they went through the financials and went through the data on the industry. We all know print is down and, you know, hardware's down 12 points and aftermarket's down 23. So to be a growing company, you have to dig out of that hole and then you need new business. So we've been on that track for years. We meticulously track and run after those numbers. On the print side, I will say that we're at about we did 14% growth last year with no acquisition. Yeah, with on the print side. We did do an acquisition January 1st, for WatchKeep on the M&S side. Small acquisition, but nonetheless, it was right in the middle of our footprint, easy to kind of scoop up and have some upsell opportunity. So yeah, both companies are up revenue-wise. I will tell you one of the things that we do is we do hire salespeople and they're new business people. We do not A lot of them do not get any base business. We pay them aggressively, and their goal is to go after new business, and they do. I mean, it's the only way to fill the funnel, right? No matter how it's a lot of work in a what would be a down industry. You have to go grab it from the competition.
So when you're looking at, and by the way, that's fantastic news to see that kind of growth on both sides of the house. I've been very optimistic about what I'm hearing, seeing, and what I see is, the new business coming down the road. So I put you in the category of next gen leader, and I see a lot of really great next gen leaders. So when you're looking at growing, the business, what do you share with people that you want to hire about the future of our industry?
Oh, I mean, listen, I am so positive about it that if you hear the statistics and you listen to the wrong people, if you're running the business, if you have a small business and you're not running it well and you don't have a plan for growth, yes, it's gloom and doom for those dealers in the business. But I'm going to tell you, if you're with the right company like Fraser, whether it's still the remaining print or everything else we're running after in terms of like software and workflow automations and selling services in AI, it's endless. Businesses aren't going anywhere. They may print a little bit less, but that's okay. We do more than print. We do more than print. So the opportunity is huge. And when we talk to salespeople about the opportunity in this business to make a lot of money, right? And solve client problems and work for a company that recognizes you and rewards you. And we still do President's Club trips and we high five every win. We had 40 people in Barcelona in May on the President's Club trip. Yeah. So but I never want to veer too far from, I know what I liked and what made companies successful with sales groups back in the day. And Mike, it's the same thing now. We have sales meetings and we do crazy fun things. And I won't stop doing that. They're competitive. They'll wrestle for a $5 bill in front of each other, right? Like it's just the nature of our business. And I don't want to ever stop having fun in this business.
I love the passion that comes out of you. I mean, that's genuine excitement, and frankly, I hope we never lose that in this business, the relationship side and the passion side of our business. So, a couple of quick questions. Maybe I can do some A and B. So, number one, when you look at the culture of Fraser, how would you characterize it? What is it that really makes Fraser so special?
So I'm going to tell you that sometimes, when we talk about culture, you do have to be intentional over the years about what messaging and how you're going to rally your team around it, right? So we came up with our core values. Our culture is a work hard, play hard, do the right thing, will to win company. Okay. So if you put those three things together, the culture it just like drips out through all the departments. I think we do a really good job of enforcing it, recognizing it, high fiving it. We give out like peer to peer and manager to peer, what they're called sacks of cash. Like they're legit little like sacks with cash in them, right? But they're given. They're given out for small little things that happen throughout the day, or things with the client, or if your name was mentioned by a client over the phone. And every time anybody gets a sack of cash, which we give away a lot of money and a lot of sacks, one of our core values is tied on the ribbon to it to explain how it ties into the core value. And then those people, so it's like things like that. Like you have to, I think, constantly stay in front of it, because we all work really hard, and it's easy to sometimes put your head down and just get stuck in the mud, right? Just in the grind of trying to grow the business. Um, but people want to be recognized. People want to be, they want to be managed up. They want to have a career path. If you do all those right things, that's what builds culture.
So I'm kind of along those lines, and there really are two thoughts here. One is you've been there 30 years, so you don't really you live the culture. It seems to me it just is, right?
For me, it is. For a lot of our, we have a lot of long-term people. Correct. Yes, it is. It's like in our blood. Yes.
Yeah, so it's not like you got a poster on the wall. You live it, you breathe it, you make it happen, which is incredible. It's incredible byproduct of longevity. And then the other question for you personally, um, being that you have lived at Fraser for 30 years, the thought strikes me, are do you think leaders are made or born?
Well, okay. I think innately leaders, you ready for this? I think innately leaders are born. I'm going to tell you why I think that to some degree. Now, there's a whole lot of made, because I told you earlier on how I was made. Okay. I do believe a lot, though, in innate behavior. There's all kinds of people in this world with different, either drive level, different personality, innate behaviors. We all think differently. If we were all, it would not be a great world if we were all the same people. Okay. So my point about a little bit about being made, there's something in that like genetic DNA of certain people that make you an excellent, technical in the weeds, accounting. That is not me. I couldn't, I was not born to be that type of leader. Um, but I will say, so once that innate base is into somebody, now you find that person in an organization, and then it's their leader's job, or the next whoever's coaching them up, to grow them into being the leader of that company and understanding everything about it, and doing all the things that Bill and Jim did for me. So my answer is it's a little bit of both, but there needs to be that innateness.
Well, I'm in agreement with you. So sometimes it's probably not a popular opinion, but I just look at you and you told us the story. You told the whole audience the story about how you came out of school with a friend, did an interview,
Yeah.
the guy the guy blew up, he couldn't do it, and you
Yeah.
found it to be, look at you.
Yeah.
30 years later, you're president.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fearless.
I will tell you, I give my dad a lot of credit. When I was in high school, he said to me, "I know you're really busy with cheerleading and all that, but I really want you to take these like enroll in these like speech contests, because if you can learn to speak, Melissa, whatever you do, whether you're a teacher, whatever you're going to do in your life, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you can speak well." I was like, I did the rolly eyes thing, and I'm like, this is not fun, and I had to memorize these speeches, and I remember cheering at a game and changing and running to these contests and getting up on stage and having to orate like a 12-minute speech. But I call my dad all the time in Arizona and tell him it's the best thing that he ever pushed me to do, because it did help me as an example on that interview when that guy was blasting questions. I didn't really know the answers, but I was able to speak to him or speak around the answer. So my dad gets a lot of credit too.
Well, that's good to know. What, if you don't mind my asking, what did your father does your father still work?
He does not. No, he's retired. My dad was in the education side of the business, so he was a superintendent of a school district. And then he was also involved in running part of the family business. So he was fairly involved in the community on some boards on some banks and things like that. So very business minded. And he's retired, but he's very, very active in the Western art world, and very active even at beyond his, my dad's in his 80s and he's still, yeah, working programs. So yeah.
Well, I'm happy to hear you give credit to your father for pushing you into maybe a little discomfort with speaking and getting on the stage and doing those things. But wow, was he right?
He was.
Wow, was he right?
Very
So how so speaking of fathers and daughters, obviously, I have one. I have a daughter, and she's seems to be doing extraordinarily well, and I'm
doing
happy to see.
great. Yeah.
How did you meet Jenna?
Okay, so I knew Jenna because again, we would sort of like constantly bump into each other at all these events. So I knew Jenna, I would talk with Jenna, and then I got really to talk to her when I was doing the panel specifically up at Sharp. Sharp asked a few women influencers, if you will, to get up and talk to Olive Sharp about kind of our journeys. And it's funny, sometimes it takes one meeting. I've seen her 100 times before, and I knew Jenna for sure. But it was one meeting that we were there early and we sat there for like an hour. And next thing you know, I'm like, okay, she's like my best friend. This is, you know what I mean? And we connected and we were both up on that panel talking. And, it was, yeah, it was because she was sitting next to me and it was good.
Well, it's funny, but I don't know if I should say this or not, but I see a lot of her and you and her.
Do you really? Yeah.
I could
I
I could
can
see
see.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it doesn't surprise me you would connect like that. So, we're coming down on a turn here. We got a few minutes left. So, a couple of quick questions. Number one, what would you say is your greatest strength and your greatest, hey, I need to work on this?
Yeah. So I think my greatest strength is I think I'm pretty good at connecting with people. Okay. And I say that because I know like if you just talk about my career like on the sales side, I knew if I could get in front of somebody face to face, I was gonna sell them something. Right. Not just because I was pushing it down their throat, but I could make a real connection. And that has overflowed into managing, running the company. I can be very driven and very direct, but I do stay very connected with all our people and have great relationships with our people. So I think that's probably one of my greatest strengths. I will tell you, I'm fairly impatient. I'm direct and impatient. I know that about me. I am. It's my behavior. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people can be like that, but I do need to, when you are the leader of the company, you need to kind of temper that. Like it needs to be in me, but people still want to have like, the one-on-ones and the patience and the to walk through. But I'm fairly impatient and a little bit more direct than I should be sometimes. Well, we're constantly so we use outside consultants. We're constantly talking to people, reminding us of our behavior and whatnot. And I can tell you, Mike, as soon as I feel like for a minute something in a day or a week with the group or somebody we're working on internally goes off track, I tend to just look at myself in the mirror quick and think, what did I contribute to the chaos, or what have I not done to stop the chaos? I can probably jump in here because I'm good with connecting with people. I should probably resort to that being more direct. So I try to be conscious of that.
All right, that's a pretty reasonable assessment of good and
Yeah.
evil. I like it.
The good and evil of me. Yeah.
Good and evil. We
Yeah.
all have to do that.
I hear you.
So, two final questions, and frankly, the first one is, what message do you want to communicate to young people who are in the business and on a track for success? They're looking forward, and new people coming into the business. So, what message do you want to send to those young people?
So it's funny. I mean, we do key person interviews with every new employee that comes to our company, and they set up 30-minute meetings with like the leaders of the company. And people ask, like, what do I need to know to be successful? And I can tell you to answer your question passionately, I tell people, okay, you accepted this job, right? You're on board with Fraser and what we do. Let me explain to you the amazing opportunity you have at your fingertips. It is here. It is real. We're a great place to work. We give you all the opportunity in the world. You can make lots of money. Sales, there's a career path, even not in sales. Okay. It's take it and know that you have this, you're either going to do it or you're not. And it doesn't always come up, but have been given this great opportunity. We want to help you. I tell that to everybody that comes on board, and I truly believe it. And it's the same thing for new hire people. And I also tell people, we're hiring new people. Like we don't know everything. A lot of people in our company still do things the old way, and new people that are coming in, I encourage people to bring in their ideas. That's what they want. They don't always want to fit into our box. We are looking for A players who bring ideas on how to make our business better. And most people kind of perk up when they really do hear that. Not that you're going to tell them exactly what to do. I want their ideas at every level of the business.
Well, that's frankly great advice and counsel. And I think if you carry that message with the passion you've demonstrated here, and I've seen just walking around, um, people need to hear that. People need to hear that positivity about the business, about leadership, and about opportunity. So when you think about your next journey, your next level, how are you trying to level up? Where do you want yourself and Fraser to be
Yeah.
in 2, 3 years?
Yeah, so we've put a concerted effort into growing, like as Bill would always say, like, our 2X and our next level, right? So Bill is CEO of the company, but on the team that's running all the daily and whatnot, it's myself and the CFO and the CTO basically. All right, executive team. Then we have a leadership team underneath us. So Mike, for us to get to the next level, it's making sure everyone on those teams, everyone, not just me, everybody needs to level up. And I don't mean that they have necessarily work to do. We all have work to do, but it's more about understanding like the real role. I tell people, do you understand like the six of us in this room right here? Like this is we're making the decisions to make this happen. Then we're going to implement and then have everybody else underneath us level up and have more opportunity. We just hold a lot of the keys are in our hand here. We have a lot of responsibility. So we need to keep coaching that team, giving them resources to get better, investing in people and putting money back in the business to hire more A players for their teams. And that's our plan.
So I, I could talk to you for another hour. So forgive me.
That's
Every
okay.
time you speak, I'm like, oh, I want to ask you this.
I'm good.
But
Keep going.
so a couple of quick one a silly question, but one a very serious question. In 5 years, do you see the IT services side of the business far outdistancing the core?
So for us, I would say in 5 years, it would be great if we were more than over our core. Yes, that would be great. And I'm going to tell you why. Number one, when you do the math on IT and you gain traction on how you're acquiring and onboarding clients, once you get to the level where you're no longer even blinking at anybody who wants to give you below 3 to 4 to $5,000 a month, the annuity stream, it clicks a lot faster. It is much easier to grow that revenue, right? The key is to be in that part of the business, not the nickel and dime part of it. And a lot of people will just keep adding some of that business that doesn't get them where they need to be. So that's how you grow that faster. I remind people all day long on the print side, when you're getting let's say you get a hardware deal, it's $1 million, but you're getting all black and white clicks at double o nothing. That aftermarket is it. So
Oh, nothing.
it's the
Out.
truth, right? So our goal is new business with color because, we're thinking revenue. If that revenue's down 23%, the only way to get that back up, you're not going to get it back with all black and white clicks, right? So yes, Mike, I feel like for us, we have a monster print side of the business. So to get IT to surpass it, um, where it's going to be a 5 year journey, but it's it's doable, and that's the plan, and our mission is to do that, and as long as we have the plan, we're gonna keep running after it.
Well, again, I'd love to have another interview with you somewhere down the road. Maybe 6 months from now we could talk again, and or at some event. But it's been fun and frankly very informational. It's a real education for me to listen. I'm so committed to making sure, if I can say it this way, our next generation leaders never forget about the importance of relationship and everything else. We expect you to be smart. What we have to expect and hope is that you remember the importance of people. And so, my last simple question, it's silly, but I usually ask, what is your favorite Frank Sinatra song?
Oh, okay, Fly Me to the Moon?
All right.
Alright,
I'm good with that. That's a good one.
is that okay? Does that go?
Yeah.
I
Is
didn't
there a
even know you
reason?
can ask that question. No, no, I
Is
just,
that
my parents love, Frank Sinatra, and, up until, yeah, my mom passed away a couple years ago very suddenly, but up until then, we were visiting them in Arizona. They turned their sound system all the way up. Frank was playing, and they were dancing in the living room. So I'm well aware. Yeah.
good? Great. I love the choice, song choice, and, hey, thanks, Frank, keep us going. So to Fraser, the entire organization, we wish you continued success. You are truly a very gifted leader, and it's been a pleasure to visit with you today. So we thank you and say goodbye. Anything you wanna say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you so much, Mike, and thank you for your kind words again.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you.